Okay. Okay. No, that's good. Yeah. Dark. No, we good. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going? Are we gonna go get super weird right now? Yay!
Y'all know that's why you came.
Yeah, I'm really curious. Is this like how it is every Gemara thing? Or like just the extra fun
No,
ones?
this is definitely like in a league of its own. I'm not going to say it's the weirdest Gemara because I've definitely seen weirder, without a doubt. I've seen even weirder than this. But this is, let's say, the top 10 weird Gemaras. Yeah, definitely. But
cool.
because again,
Cool,
you have
cool,
Gemaras that deal with mystical stuff, with black magic, white magic, the supernatural. So those, those are going to be funky because the subject matter is funky. Like, you know the Gemara where Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus has a whole argument with his entire Sanhedrin, like with the entire yeshiva, about a certain halacha. You know the famous story of Tanur Shalachnai? Sarah, you know what I'm talking about? Where he says,
No
I'm
idea.
right. And then he's like, if I'm right, let the walls shake, let the river, flow backwards. And that's the famous punchline of Loba Shamayni. You know what I'm talking
No, but
about?
sounds cool.
Okay, the point is that's like another Gemara of this ilk where it's just like a really strange, mystical Gemara that is more well known. And I know in my Einod people definitely taught it because this Gemara is like, it crystallizes like one of the foundational ideas about the tension about the way Torah Sheba'al Peh works after the destruction of the Second Temple. Like, how does halacha
Cool. This
work?
is a
Like,
new. This is a new
Gemara
world
is
for me,
kind of,
so that's
what?
awesome. This is a new world for me, so that's awesome. I'm looking forward to like dwelling in it and getting funky.
Right. So yeah.
Cool.
The nice thing
So there's
about
a lot
this
of fun
Gemara,
stuff.
the reason that I like using this as an example is because like this is a great example of the way these types of Gemaras work. Like what we're going to do today, you will Be'ezrat Hashem be able to apply to future weird Gemaras that you will see. Because this just, the way the Maharal like just takes it apart, like really puts you in the right headspace or the right frame of mind that should you encounter another weird Gemara like that, you kind of like don't just sit there scratching your head like what the heck is going on. It's like, okay, I kind of know what to expect. I know where they're going with this, sort of like where you don't just stand there puzzled like I have no idea which way is up. It's just kind of like, all right, it's this genre, okay, fine. Because I'll tell you, it's like also most people certainly, and I had this discussion with a friend of mine where like she's modern Orthodox, whatever, big Talmidah Chachama, whatever, and very much has an aversion to all things that are super rational. And she brought up on her Facebook, as a post, like, wow, like, is there magic within Judaism? Is there like, is this part of Judaism? And, and of course, her rational friends were just like, no, it's all, sleight of hand. And I piped up and I was like, no, what do you mean? Of course. And I just literally broke it down saying, look, there's, practical Kabbalah, aka white magic, and there's theoretical Kabbalah, which is just like, as its name, it's just like, what do the angels look like? How many hands do they have? How many wings? How many feet? Things that have nothing to do with our lives, but is just interesting. And then there's applicable Kabbalah, which is mystical ideas, like the worlds and how we're created, and like, the spiritual anatomy. How many souls do I actually have? And what is the anatomy of my soul? What we would call Hasidus. Hasidus is other name is applicable Kabbalah. It's all the mystical concepts that you actually can use in your life to become a better person. Like knowing how many wings the angels have does not give you any tools whatsoever when you're fighting against the Yetzer Hara. Doesn't help at all. But knowing that your chesed is out of whack with your gvura and what that means, suddenly you want to lose your temper or whatever. You're just like, oh, okay. I can now tap into that and draw strength and know how to knock the Yetzer Hara out because I know what's going on inside of me. So the point is, I just addressed that very briefly on her thing, and she was like, wow. She goes, this is what I need to look into. I've been neglecting this whole part of my life, and now it's just time to face that. So she actually started learning Kabbalah, whatever, even though she spent all these decades being so devoted to the rational and to the logical. And now she's like, I understand there's a whole side of Judaism. One sec, Stephanie, one sec. There's a whole side of Judaism that just you can't ignore, even if it makes you uncomfortable. It just makes people super uncomfortable because you have no control over this. 1 + 1 does not have to equal 2 in this world, and it scares the crap out of people. Stephanie, what did you want to say?
There's a movie called Bee Season. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but it's based off of Abulafi's system of letters and how to connect to Hashem through permutations of letters.
And it's made by someone legit who knows what they're talking about, or Kabbalah Center people?
The information, if you study Abulafia and his techniques, the information in this movie it's extremely accurate. Extremely accurate. And it's about a little girl who wins spelling bees by using this technique. And it's actually a crazy, interesting movie. So that's just
I'm so Googling this afterwards.
Yeah.
Bee Season?
Bee Season.
Voila. Awesome. Do you know who produced it, made it? Is it an Israeli film? It's an American,
it's not. It's an American film. But my husband's very, very into Kabbalah and all these things, and he studied Abulafia for a very long time.
Is he over 40?
No.
Tell him to stay the hell away from it. Wait, I'm telling you as a friend and as someone who cares about you, tell him to stay away from it. Really.
He wouldn't agree, but he has his own thing going on. He also believes that the Rebbe was also very into letter permutations and things like that. Right. So yeah, it's a crazy movie. American made by Goyim, I'm pretty sure, but the information is incredibly accurate, incredibly accurate.
How do you know?
He studied Abulafia's system. My husband studied Abulafia's system.
So he would be able.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. It's mind-blowing and very interesting movie.
Cool.
It looks like it's written by a Jewish person, and it's about a Jewish person also, right?
Oh, really? I don't know. They didn't make a thing that she was Jewish. It could be. Oh, it says that it's in Hebrew as well. That they have
with Hebrew subtitles or voiceover?
I have no idea. But I don't remember there being an emphasis that they were a Jewish family. So that's interesting.
Oh, this is just off of Wikipedia. I'm
curious.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Father's answer.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. Anyway, so yeah, there is that whole other part of Torah. And again, like what I started saying, the modern Orthodox people, they just tend to write this off as, superstitious Judaism, as Judaism that was primitive because they didn't yet have microscopes and they didn't know better. And so they tend to just either skip it or at worst, sort of, write it off in a negative way as being primitive, instead of just because it intimidates them because they don't have the tools to analyze it. And so, yeah, but we do, thank God. So we don't have to be intimidated by it. We could just delve in and see what we can get out of it. So yeah.
Didn't you teach that gemara in my note when I was there? The one with the wall shaking and the river flowing backwards?
Yeah, okay. Tanuro shalachnai. Okay, what about it?
Oh, I remember that was the only gemara I've ever learned, and then it somehow came up in a conversation, and I felt so proud because it someone mentioned it and he said something wrong, and I corrected him. This is like a yeshiva student, and I was like,
yes,
I would be so proud.
Yes.
Yeah, I looked like I knew the gemara inside and out, but it was literally the only gemara I learned. So it was great.
Doesn't matter, you knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a gratifying feeling. Wait 1 sec. Can I help you, Shmoo? What? Whoever wants can have it. It's leftovers. You want it? Ask Batya or somebody to pour the soup for you in a bowl. Oh, Batya wants it. Leave for you. Whoever wants can have the soup.
Sounds like my sister. It's like Matay Malak. Like she won't eat leftovers ever. It's like it has to be from today.
No, he was just wondering if I heated it up for somebody special because he doesn't want to eat like somebody else's. So he wasn't asking from when was it? Like who's it for? Like did you heat it up for Abba? Like what's the story? And I'm like, no, whoever wants it, just heat it up because I want to get it out of the fridge because I want to wash the pot. What? אתה צוחק איתי, נכון?
כן.
קישטה, עכשיו 9:10 אתה לא מתקרב אליי, קישטה.
עד 9:10?
כן. אוקיי? להיט, סגור את הדלת. יואו, רציני.
רגע, מתי?
שמואל נחמן ריבונו, לא, בסוף יש מצב שאני לא הבנתי מה אתה שואל. יש מצב שלא. אוקיי. אוקיי. טוב. Alrighty, so, oh God, I can't find my watch. I don't know what time it is. I'm going to exit full screen for a sec just to see what time it is. Okay, yeah, we are definitely starting. Okay. Toiv. Okay, so I'm assuming all of you had a chance to take a look at the Gemara, note the basic flow of the story that, again, it's hard to call it a flow because it does seem to jump around a lot. But so let's just start at the beginning, okay? What is the beginning? How does the discussion start?
They start with how did they get the worm to do like no noise at all?
That's the launching point, exactly. The truth is the launching point is a little bit before that, where the sages are like darshaning, like interpreting a strange pasuk in Kohelet. And FYI, this entire Gemara is crucial for understanding Sefer Kohelet, where when we get to that, we're definitely going to draw on this information that we acquire now. But basically, the launching point is a weird pasuk where Shlomo says, I think in like Perek Aleph or Bet of Kohelet, where he says, and I acquired Sharim v'Sharot, Shida v'Shida, like the word shidot appears and they're just like, we don't know what that means because it could mean a piece of furniture or it could or a vehicle, like a kingly vehicle, or it could be the feminine plural of demons. So sages get into a discussion, like what is Shlomo saying there? Like he ruled over demons, what? And then it goes into, so actually, FYI, yes, he did. And then they say, what does this even mean that he ruled over demons? So it says you should know that when it came time to build the base of Mikdash, he ran into a problem. And that problem is what? He needs to slice stones in order to build the temple. So what's the problem?
He wasn't allowed to use weapons or.
Well, not weapons, right? Because you're not going to use a sword to cut a stone or a bow and arrow. Like, you know, it was a question of weapons. It was a question of not being allowed to use what to cut the stones.
Iron.
What?
No
What's
iron
our,
tools.
right, no metal, exactly, because it is associated with weapons, exactly. So basically, he was like, so how am I supposed to cut stones? So what do his advisors tell him? Because he's like, okay, people, this is a serious problem. We need to build a temple, but we have no way to do it. Like, technically, what am I supposed to do? So it's as you said, Sarah, they say to him, you have to find this magical worm called a shamir that is able to slice through rock. And once you get your hands on this, building the temple will be simple. Okay. Why did he not know of this thing's existence? And how did they know about it? Well, what context do they put the shamir in? How do they tell him that they know this thing exists? Because they heard about it in another story. What's up here?
Oh no, is it like they heard it from the male and female demons, or maybe I misunderstood?
No, they were saying that's where you can get it, but basically the context that is mentioned in the Gemara, they say, because don't you know when Moshe needed something engraved in rocks, he had the shamir, and that's how he was able to do it. Because Moshe didn't sit there with like a metal or iron chisel, chiseling the names of the tribes into the precious stones or semi-precious stones that were in the ephod of the Kohen Gadol, right? The ephod is the breastplate that is gold, and it has 12 precious stones, each tribe represented by a different gem. And their names were engraved, like Ruvain was on the ruby, and Shimon was on the pita, whatever it was, and the Bareket is Levi, and it says Levi engraved in the stone. So that's how they introduce the Shamir to Shlomo, saying, oh, well, we know about this because we know that's how Moshe did that. Like, he didn't use metal either. Okay? So then he says to them, so where the heck am I supposed to get this thing? And that's when they tell him, you should really ask the demons. You should tie them together. You should take a male and female demon, tie them together, torture them until they share the secret with you. So he does that. And what did the demons tell him?
Can I have a super quick question?
Shoot, of course, always.
Angels don't have female and male, right?
Again, what?
Angels don't have female and male. No,
they do. What do you mean? In Sefer Yechezkel, of course they do.
They also do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just
they don't
wondering, if that's
they
just
don't do
something.
anything with that, but yeah. So we'll take a look at that, because really you're asking a very good question. Is wait a second. What does that even mean to have gender in spiritual beings? Whether it's demons or angels, which we'll see in a second, is basically the same thing. And we spoke about this last time also, right? Is that everything is just the messenger of Hashem. Whether their job is to do annoying things or to be overtly beneficial to humans, it doesn't change the fact that they all have one boss, that he's the one who gives them their paycheck, he gives them their, well, that's actually a machlokis, right? But okay. I'm referring to something the Maharal says that I didn't know, that he says the machlokis, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Ishmael, whether demons receive their sustenance directly from Hashem or through other channels. And he weighs in and says, Rabbi Ishmael, like Rabbi Akiva says, no, it's directly from Hashem. Rabbi Ishmael says no, through different channels, and he personally says, he's like, no. Everyone, the Kabbalah masters, he says, all know that Rabbi Ishmael is right in this case. So forget the paycheck point for a second, but they get their tasks, they get their job description from Hashem, whether we like that job description or not. So then we'll take a look for a second, well, what does that even mean? So, but yes, with both, there is, masculine and feminine. So basically, he tortures them, and what did they tell him? Okay, where can you get this, shamir?
Well, now they like who would know? It's the demons. So you have to bring them together and torture them, and they will tell you.
No, so that's the thing. Shlomo does that, and when he's torturing them, like, or it just says he's binding them, and which is torture for them. And so basically, what do they tell him? What do they blurt out, as the answer?
That the king of the demons knows.
Exactly. Beautiful. We don't know. We don't know. We were not given this information, but the king of the demons, who we shall not say his name, even though it is written in the Gemara. And again, I don't know if that's his actual name or his job description, just like Gavriel, right? I spoke about this before. It's not his name, it's his job description, right? His real name is recorded in the Kabbalistic books, in the like Hogwarts books that we have in Judaism. So I'm blanking because I just don't remember if that's his name, but either way, gonna err on the side of caution and not say, and just call him the king of the demons. He would probably know, so you should find a way to find him. Oh, hi, hello, do you have his like email address? Do you have his like, can I just ride up on a horse to his house? Like, how exactly do I find the king of the demons? Thanks. So they have an answer for that too. No problem. So where do you find the king of the demons?
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I keep getting sidetracked. Finding the female and male was something that Shlomo did. But then when he went to find the prince of the demon was something that he sent Benayahu to do.
Correct. We'll get to that. That's actually a crucial part of the story. The fact that he himself cannot go to do that. Right.
Okay.
No, wait a
So he's on
second.
top of a
He doesn't
mountain.
have to even look hard. For a male and female demon, he doesn't have to look hard because he rules over all the angels and demons. What the Maharal says is that the reason why Shlomo was able to build the Beis Hamikdash was because he ruled over both worlds, the supernal worlds and the lower world. And so he rules over spiritual worlds, like spiritual beings and physical beings. They literally answer to him because he has that power. He knows how to talk to them. He knows how to rule over them. He reached levels that are inconceivable for the human mind. So for him, just, tying a male and a female, a demon to a chair, like tying them with these ropes and saying, tell me now, where can I get the shamir? That was child's play for him, right? And they're like, we don't know. You got to find the king of the demons. So they basically tell him there's this mountain and he lives in a cave in the mountain and he has this like well, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? And you have to you just gotta somehow get him there, and then when you find him, then you gotta get him out of there, and then you'll be able to. Now, what is interesting, is he always in that cave? Is he always home? If you knock on the cave door, will he open the door and be like, oh, hi, I'm king of the demons, nice to meet you? Like, where is he? What's his day job?
He's learning.
Oh, can you get that? King of the demons spreads his time between two kollels, people. The supernal kollel and the lower kollel. No more and no less. Which, by the way, is a very, very interesting thing that our sages are telling us about the king of the demons. He goes to kollel with all the angels and with God himself, in the higher world. And he goes to kollel here too, right? So whoever's heard of a Hasidish, Yetzer Hara, isn't faced by that, because we know that everything is susceptible to everything. There is no totally good, totally bad. Everything is in that gray area. It's just a question, are we talking charcoal gray? Or are we talking light gray? But everything, that's why when our sages say that Torah learning, a piece of Torah can be the drug of life or the drug of death. They're not kidding, because that same piece of Torah could have an adverse effect on somebody or a positive effect. It depends on the person themselves. If a person has OCD and they learn the laws of Pesach and they learn the laws of Chametz, that is the drug of death for them. That sends them off the deep end and can paralyze them and cause anxiety, panic attacks, depression, And again, there's nothing wrong with the Torah. The laws of Pesach and Chametz, they are what they are. There's nothing wrong with them. But the person drinking them, if they're allergic to penicillin, they're going to break out. But if a person is, not allergic and they have an infection, then it could save them. So that's everything. Everything is fuzzy. I don't mean that in like the negative sense of, oh, nothing means anything. I just mean that everything really is always in a dynamic with its environment. So the king of the demons was the Kolel. So you got to catch him when he's coming home for his coffee break. Okay. So we're going to catch the king of the demons. He comes home, and he comes home for his coffee break. He has a cup of water from his private well that he seals. And you have to find a way to break into his private well, you know, and tamper with it, like slip him a roofie so that you could like steal the information from him on how to get the shamir. Oh my God, what does this have to do with building the Beis HaMikdash? Why do you need the king of the demons and a freaking worm to just build a building in Jerusalem that happens to be the house of God, that happens to be the Mikdash? What is going on here? But it gets better, right? As you guys know, it gets a lot better. Okay, so then Shlomo sends Benayahu. He, like, you know, takes notes. Okay, got it all down. Sends Benayahu. Benayahu figures out what it's going to take. What does Benayahu pack with him to, you know, capture the king of the demons? Like, what's he going to use? A straitjacket, you know, like handcuffs? Like, what do you do? A stun gun? Like, what do you even use to capture the king of the freaking demons?
He brought jewelry. He brought a ring.
Not jewelry. It is made out of
A
gold,
chain.
but it's not jewelry. What?
A chain with Hashem's name, like the proper one, I'm
Oh,
guessing.
exactly. He brought chains to, like, tie him up, but gold chains that have the name of God engraved upon them. The tetragrammaton, right? Engraved. Okay. All right. He also brought two other things, right? He brought the, like, wool, and he also brought wine with him, right? Okay.
That guy's he knows how to party, so we get it.
Right, right. If you're gonna go big, you know, if you're gonna go big or go home, like you're gonna capture the king of the demons, you gotta do it with style, with gold chains, with the bling. You can't just bring like regular stainless steel chains. It's beneath the king of the demons to be captured by like tin or aluminum or stainless steel chains. Anyway, so yeah, with the bling. Okay. And he succeeds in his mission. That's kind of wild. Like the king of the demons, you know. Like, honestly, I'm telling you right now, we're not going to go into every single piece of the story in the analysis because the shiur would be like 2-3 hours long if we literally derived the significance behind every single image. But for those that are curious, I can scan and send you the Maharal's commentary where he does. He literally double clicks on every single image in the Gemara and he opens it up and he tells you what everything signifies and what it means. And you just sit there like, just, it's breathtaking. It's amazing. So again, what's with the wool? What's with the wine? Like, what is with the king of the demons reaction? Like the whole process he goes through. So I chose highlights, as you see on the board, that we're going to focus on that like basically cracks the code for you. But honestly, like I wish we could just literally go point by point by point and just open the whole thing wide open. But it's just absurd. It would be way too long. So like I said, I'm going to give you the corner pieces, the edge pieces to this Gemara, and the rest you could already fill in the blanks in some way yourselves. So anyway, so basically Benayahu succeeds in this mission. He ends up getting the king of the demons to drink the wine. He gets hammered, low alcohol tolerance, and you know he wakes up in Shlomo's palace. And then what?
Wait, he doesn't wake up in Shlomo's palace. They have a whole way, no?
Yes. So that's the thing. Good. I was waiting for someone to say, wait, Gila, not so fast, because as soon as he captures him, the king of the demons rages. And while Benayahu was walking him to Shlomo's palace, he does, like, we have a whole almost tangent description of a bunch of different vignettes of different things that the king of the demons did on the way to Jerusalem. What was it? Like, what are the things that you recall that he did on the way?
I'm actually looking at it. So yeah.
That's fair enough.
Palm tree. He knocked down a house.
Knocked down a house,
Widow.
knocked down a tree, right? First he knocked down a palm tree, then he knocked down a house. He like, you know, kicked it over or whatever. Okay, what else?
Then he doesn't touch the widow, that she comes out.
she comes out of her house
Yeah.
crying, saying, please leave my little shack alone. And then he ducks to like avoid her house, and he ends up breaking a bone. That's kind of interesting. Wow. Demons of bones. And like when he ducks, he breaks a bone. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the widow, he chooses not to hurt. All right. Yeah. What else?
Then a blind man, and he helps the blind man.
Exactly.
A drunk man, and he helps the drunk man.
Okay. And then
The
two more
wedding,
episodes.
and then he cries.
So he cries at the
shoemaker.
wedding. Again, not happy tears. He like cries sad tears. Like he's literally heartbroken when he sees the wedding. And
The shoemaker, and he
what?
laughs.
He cracks up at the shoemaker when he overhears the shoemaker talking to a client. What cracks him up about that?
Because he says he wants shoes that will last him for 7 years.
The client walks into the shoe store and he says, I want you to make me a pair of shoes that are going to last 7 years. And when the king of the demons hears this, he loses it. He just lolls, ROFLs, like just he cannot even breathe. He's laughing. He's cackling away. And we are not told until later what, like, why he had this reaction to these 7 vignettes. It's interesting that 7 episodes are recorded. Okay. The Maharal also goes into the significance of that, like why 7 vignettes. So that we're not going to have a chance to get to until why 7, but we're going to touch on. So why do you think these vignettes
But it
are
didn't
recorded?
explain all of these things.
No, why? Later in the palace, isn't it Benayahu that asks him, oh my God, what was the
Right.
deal
Then
with
I
that?
asked him what was all this stuff, and
And
he
he
says a
answers
bunch
him.
of things. But
I
he
think he
doesn't say about
explains all
the
7,
tree or the house. He doesn't say tree, house, and the widow. All the other
no?
stuff
No,
I
the
see he
widow he
answers. But
does. Hold on. I'm going to look it up.
you want me to send you the link here
No,
to everyone?
I'm
That
just,
might be easier.
no. Let me just open it up. Hold on. Actually, one sec. I'm not doing share
8
screen.
though, not 7.
What?
I'm counting 8 instances, not 7.
Okay, wait one sec. I'm just gonna run through it. I've got it open here in. Okay, hold on.
Oh, then there's the bird also.
The what?
The bird? Oh, no,
Bird?
that's
Which
later.
bird?
Sorry, I got confused.
No, that's later. Oh my goodness, no. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. So there, I'm literally just hitting enter. The palm tree, the house, the widow, that's number 3. Hold on.
Blind man is 4.
Hold on one second. Here we go. Blind man is number 4. Drunken man is number 5. Wedding procession is number 6. Shoemaker number 7. What? Oh, and wait a second. Then a diviner practicing divinations, and he laughed. Okay, 8. So then the question is, where does that belong? Okay. All right. Hold on one sec. So I'm just going to scroll to see which one does he not explain. The blind man he explains. The drunk man he explains. So the last 4, or without the divination. Oh no, the last 5. The last 5. So you're right, there are 8. So that's interesting. I have to go back to the Maharal and look up like why he says that it's 7. Does he like lump 2 of them together, or what's the story there? It could be that he puts the house and the palm tree together, but I will look at that again. So either way, he doesn't explain the first like 3. He doesn't explain. You're right. So the widow, I was relying on the Maharal's explanation. So the palm tree and the house and the widow, he doesn't explain. Okay. So there's that crazy thing. Later, he explains it in the palace. So now as soon as he does wake up in Shlomo's palace, what is his reaction?
Shlomo doesn't see him right away for 3 days.
He refuses to admit him. At first he says, no, make him wait 3 days. Exactly. Okay. So, but interesting, King of the Demons immediately demands to be seen. He's like, okay, you already schlepped me here. And they're like, no, you're going to wait. It's not your turn yet. And on the third day, he's brought before Shlomo. If I'm not mistaken, after he explains the whole thing, right, because as Benaiah was leading him, then he says to, okay, what was the deal? What, all those things that happened, what was up with that? So then he comes before Shlomo, and what is the first thing he says when he greets Shlomo Melech?
The 4 cubits.
What 4 cubits?
He seems like a very spiteful guy, the demon. It's not like all demons.
King of the Demons is not warm, fluffy, fuzzy. He's not like, yeah, it's not Stitch. Stitch not that. Stitch fluffy. Anyway.
I'm also imagining a whole Smeagol situation with a chain and stuff, like.
Okay, you know what?
Oh my gosh.
Between you and me, you will see
Benayao
that
and Sam?
J.R. Tolkien ripped that off directly. I would not be surprised if Tolkien was familiar with this entire Gemara and ripped it off directly for his book. Why am I saying this? Tell me, ladies, why am I saying that I'm almost convinced that Tolkien was familiar with this Gemara? Because it's a well-known midrash. Ladies, tell me, how did this mold Tolkien's entire claim to fame series?
The ring? With like the engraving there?
Thank you. A simple gold ring that had engraved, right, the magic spell, whether it was the elvish spell in, one ring to rule them all, versus Shlomo. How does Shlomo rule over the whole world? One gold band with the tetragrammaton engraved into it, one ring to rule both worlds, the supernal world and the lower world. And the King of the Demons does come across as a very Smeagol-y character, except it's the other way around. Smeagol is like a pathetic version of the King of the Demons. Because at the end of the day, he's just a hobbit, like gone wrong. Who listens to Yetzer Hara. What? He's a messed up hobbit, no?
I just want to make that clear. No, it's like sort of like the same species, but
yeah,
it's not
exactly,
really a hobbit.
Except that
but that's like a super side note.
So he lost the cuteness, but he used to be a hobbit when he was. What the heck was his real name? I don't remember anymore. I'm blanking on his name.
No, Smeagol is his real name. Gollum
That's it,
is
right?
the
Exactly.
evil
Gollum is exactly. So Smeagol's his real name. When he was a hobbit, he was Smeagol. Exactly. So the point is, I think, because Tolkien, ladies, you guys know that he was a Talmid Chacham in the sense that he knew biblical Hebrew and modern Hebrew. He knew Tanakh inside and out. Oh my goodness, ladies, please read up on Tolkien's biography.
He's Jewish?
No.
He's not Jewish, but...
Wait a second. So I think he was a professor of languages, either Oxford or Cambridge. I always forget which one. And basically he was a linguistics professor. So he used to literally teach the etymology of all languages, like the entire genealogical tree of the Romance languages. So he was fluent in dozens of languages, Hebrew being among them. But also he was a religious Catholic, that he was fluent in Tanakh and scholarship. And he even spoke, openly about how the dwarves are based on the Jewish people and their language and their culture. Everything is based on Jews. And he basically built, the reason he could build his own languages like Elvish, the alphabets, because he did everything derived from his extensive knowledge of languages. This is well documented. It's just, you literally type in Tolkien and Jews, Hebrew, or languages, and you just read about how he wrote Lord of the Rings. Only a linguistic genius who's a polyglot would be able to write a book like Lord of the Rings, where he could literally invent the language of Rohan and of Elvish. And ladies, he was a genius. He was a complete and utter genius, not just a creative genius, oh, that's cool, Spielberg is a creative genius. I'm talking just flat out linguistic genius, teaching linguistics at either Cambridge or Oxford. They're pretty cool, stories about him. But it's interesting, you guys asked if he's Jewish. The funny thing is that his great grandson is from, because his son, I believe, married a Jewish girl, so his grandson was already Jewish, And then like the great grandson, actually had a bar mitzvah because his maternal grandparents were adamant. I think they were like, the last name was like Goldberg or something. Like he had a, daughter-in-law named Goldberg. And so basically the grandparents were like, no, we'll prepare you for your bar mitzvah and you're gonna have a bar mitzvah. And then this great grandson ended up going on birthright and to Esha Torah, and he's full on like yeshiva shrum. So you just type in Simon Tolkien, ladies, because it's like son to son to son, but like the grandson and the son are Jewish, halachically. And so yes, Simon Tolkien is J.R. Tolkien's great grandson, and he's like a from a yid. So it's interesting how the seeds were already planted there. But you just read about Tolkien's Jewish connection, it's fascinating. So yes, no, I would not be surprised if like, I haven't delved that deeply into it because I'm not that much of a Tolkien geek. Like it's kind of cool, but I'm not like that in like invested in it. But yeah, no, it's really, really interesting because he was accused of anti-Semitism also because the dwarves are like very anti-Semitic characters. They have the big noses, they're obsessed with gold, very materialistic. On the other hand, they're yearning to return to their homeland because an evil invader stole their golden city from them, their homeland, and no matter how many years they're far away from their homeland, they're still yearning for their homeland, and they sing about it. They've got the long beards, right? There's so much Jewish imagery there. And like the Germans wanted to translate Lord of the Rings into German, and they asked him, are you Jewish? And his answer is famous. You guys can Google it, but he wrote back to them because he sensed anti-Semitism in their tone. He like literally gave it to them, like the ultimate burn. Oh my God, like nachas from the burn that he gave them. So just seriously Google what Tolkien wrote back to the German publishing house that asked him if, God forbid, he was Jewish, perhaps. Anyway, it's a line that needs to be memorized. It's just priceless. Anyway, but back to like the topic at hand. So yeah, I would not be surprised if this Gemara that we're doing is really the platform that informed a huge chunk of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, etc., etc. Because it's very likely that Tolkien was familiar with the Midrash. I don't doubt it for a second. Other than the fact that there's a famous historian, Cecil Roth, that was also, he was one of his best friends, a colleague at either Cambridge or Oxford. He was a professor of history, and there are beautiful stories about like the way they like went through the Second World War together, as professors, having to dive into bunkers when England was being bombed by the Germans, and the interesting relationship that they had, one a religious Christian and one not a religious Jew, but a Jew nonetheless, and what kind of interesting relationship, they had, Cecil Roth and J.R. Tolkien. So Tolkien is of that ilk of scholar that once upon a time really like just knew it all. Not just, look stuff up on Wiki and just, plagiarize stuff. Like he was knowledgeable and was able to incorporate things and enrich his text with allusions and references. So back
also
to this.
Cultures.
What?
Just want to make it clear. He also has like different cultures in each of these people and languages and stuff. Like we were talking about, like,
Totally.
All the languages, they all have like a whole thing with it.
If I'm not mistaken, the elves are based on Japan, on the Japanese. And the dwarves are Jews, and like Rohan, the hobbits, I think hobbits are British. Like they live in their holes and they're very like, cowardly, complacent. I remember I read about this a gazillion years ago, like when the Peter Jackson movies first came out, right? So that's when like media was inundated with this. So I just happened to come across it. It was just interesting. But like, that was what, 20 years ago? Like, I don't remember anymore. Anyway, but back to Tera, right? Okay, so basically, the king of the demons, what does he say to Shlomo? Like you mentioned the 4 cubits. What about the 4 cubits?
When you die, you will have no more than 4 cubits in this world. That's it. Like basically when he dies, all his splendor and gold and everything else that he built is going to be reduced.
So you skipped part of it. He finds a bamboo or some kind of like stick. He pulls it out of the ground. He throws it like a javelin, and he just misses Shlomo by like, I don't know how far, right? He throws it and it lands near Shlomo, and like this reed or whatever it is 4 cubits long. And Shlomo says, what's the deal? And he says, this is all you have left. At the end of your life, you have a grave that's 4 cubits long. And he says, you have conquered all the world, do you really feel a need to conquer me as well? Like when you die, you're not going to take any of this with you. So he's playing mind games with him. He doesn't just succumb. He doesn't say, yes, your majesty, what can I do for you? You know, he stares at him in the eyes. He's like, you're a king. I'm a king. All right. Now we're going to have a pissing match. We're going to see who's the real boss man here. You're going to die. You really feel a need to conquer me too? Like, you're going to be daffodil fertilizer anyway. I'm not. I'm immortal. I'm the king of the demons. What you going to say to that? What? Right? And so what does Shlomo answer him?
He wants nothing of him.
He's like, I don't want anything for myself. I just want to build the Masechet Gitin for Hashem. So your mind games are not going to work. And at that moment is when he receives access to the Shamir. If he had answered the king of the demons any other way, he would not be able to get that information out of him. So I'm just going to, because time is ticking, I'm going to run through the rest of the Midrash. Basically, then the king of the demons, you know, it's like he typed in the right password and he unlocked and like, okay, the website unlocked. Okay, so you want the Shamir? Fine. So this is where you get it. So you have to find the Prince of the Sea because he's the one who gives it to the guard, the wild rooster or woodpecker, depending on your translation, because what it actually says is Parnagota bara, which means wild rooster. But then later the Gemara says, Onkelos, when he was translating the Chumash, he translated it, you know, as Nagar Tura, that somehow they translate to woodpecker, duchifat. I will spare you the whole etymological debate going on there. It's literally discussion for Tolkien. Literally, the etymology of the word, is it this, is it that? Not for us. Okay, maybe another time. But either way, the bird mentioned in Parashat Shmini, the duchifat, a whole thing analyzing what is the duchifat. Either way, we're going to go to Aramaic, Tarnagota bara. Okay, wild rooster. And then he guards it. He is sworn to guard it with his life, but you can trick him and you can get it away from him. And that's really what you need to do. So, Shlomo sends Benayahu, right, to the wild rooster to trick him to get the Shamir. And this is where our story like really begins, because then like things get really trippy. So he gets the Shamir, builds the Beis HaMikdash, and then what happens? Oy vey. What does he do with the king of the demons once he gets the Shamir from the wild rooster?
He keeps him.
He keeps him in a dungeon. He keeps him prisoner, okay? And then one day he pulls him out. Why does he pull him out?
And he asks,
this is literally, I think, the climax of the entire story. Even though it seems
why
almost
are
like
you
a tangent.
better than us? Why are you higher than us?
Wait!
No?
That's not the reason he pulls him out. Why does he pull him out? He yanks him out of the dungeon.
Chilling. He's alone with him.
Ah! No, people, who noticed? He was learning Torah and he got to a pasuk he didn't understand. He got to a pasuk that he did not understand. So he looks up Rashi, and he looks up Tosfos, and he looks up the Meiri, and the Rambam, and the Shulchan Aruch, and the Alter Rebbe, and the Baal Shem Tov, and the Vilna Gaon, and he can't find the answer anywhere. Y'all know I'm kidding, right? Like you understood I was being anachronistic, just checking. Okay, right? So he's like, shoot, my entire cabinet, I have all these wise men. Nobody knows what the shot is on this pasuk. He's like, oh, I guess I'll call the king of the demons because he'll for sure know. Because again, why is he going to know? Why would the king of the demons know the answer and learning? What?
He spent
all that time in Kollel.
He's a Talmid Chacham. He goes to two kollels, God's kollel and the Talmidei Chacham of planet Earth kollel. That is the ultimate Talmid Chacham. So he's like, okay, he's got to know because he literally hears Daf Yomi from like God himself. Okay. So he pulls it out, and then he's alone with the king of the demons, which already, like, there's the creepy music in the background. If this was a movie, you know, cue the serial killer in the corner hiding behind a door, right? Creepy music. And then he says to him, all right, you know, how are you guys, like, what's your advantage? And can you explain this pasuk to me? And then what does the king of the demons say to him? Does he give him the answer? King of the Demons was probably, by the way, locked up for like, it took Shlomo like about 7.5 years to build the base of Mikdash. So he's been locked up at least 7.5 years because he waits until after he builds the temple to pull it out. But it might be longer. King of the Demons might have been in that dungeon for longer. We don't know how long he's been there. Finally, he pulls him out. And what does the King of the Demons say to him?
Doesn't he say something like, don't be so stuck on this one idea, like move on? Or no?
No. He gives him an
the first thing he says is unchain me.
Right.
And
Take the chain and give me the ring.
Ah. So more importantly than unchaining me, take off your ring and give it to me. Which, by the way, is the same thing because, right, we said the chain and the ring are basically the same thing. It's a piece of gold that goes around somebody. That what is its true power? It's not gold. Gold is easy to break or to rip. I mean, it's easy to bend. We're not talking iron here. My God, it's gold. Gold and silver are malleable. They're weak metals. So the strength is, gold chains can't hold somebody down. That's ridiculous. What's powerful about the gold chains or the gold ring is that it's Shem Hashem engraved into it, right? So he says, take off the ring and then I'll tell you. And Shlomo, in one of the ultimate facepalm moments in all of Jewish history, takes it off, and which is the equivalent of unchaining the king of the demons. And what does the king of the demons do?
Eat it.
What?
He eats the ring.
No! This is why I'm doing this. If you think I'm wasting time going through the Gemara, I'm checking to see that you guys like understood it correctly so we're all on the same page. So, no, what does he do?
So that he places one wing on the earth and one on the sky.
Yes, and then?
Yeah, I don't know what a parasang is though.
Oh, that's just the distance. It's like saying kilometer, but whatever, who cares? But what does he do?
He swallows the ring, he grows and places like one wing like in the heaven, one wing on earth. And then he throws Solomon away.
He swallows Shlomo, ladies. I'm a cry, seriously. He swallows Shlomo and vomits him out, vomits him projectilely like 400, not even kilometers, like 400 parsangs is like some kind of inconceivable like distance. Like it's the equivalent of saying that he barfed him from like London to China. Okay, that's the equivalent of. So he swallows Shlomo and barfs him out far, far away from Jerusalem. And then the rest of the story is Shlomo, you know, finds himself far from home with nothing, not the crown, like literally nothing, covered in demon puke. And he has to basically like walk his way begging, you know, back to Jerusalem. Because again, there's no airplanes, you can't like just book a flight and charge it to your credit card. Like he has to walk and hitchhike back to Jerusalem from the equivalent of China. And like, he can't like walkie-talkie his bodyguards and say, send a limousine. Or he can't even tell people, do you know who I am? I'm the king of Jerusalem. Can you please like hire like a limousine for me and please shuttle me back to my palace? People are like, you smell bad and you look homeless and like, who the hell are you and why should we help you? So
isn't there like a kid's story or like gemara that's where he meets one of his wives?
So that's
and he's like super far away and whatnot.
That as far as I know is not based on anything in the text. But basically, yes, in the kids' version of the movie, the 5-minute adaptation of that part of the Gemara, because there's 2 different movies, which I gave you both links in Facebook. You know, there's some woman that helps him, but that's nonsense. That's not based on anything textual in Judaism. That's the creative license of the Israeli filmmaker who made that movie. Anyway, so in a nutshell, he has to make his way back. So you can imagine it takes him quite a while to walk and hitchhike back to Jerusalem from Beijing. Okay? So, and in the meanwhile, who's ruling Jerusalem and the world while Shlomo's hitchhiking his way back?
The demon.
Why do people let him?
Because he has the ring.
He has the ring.
No. Why? Oh my goodness.
Bah.
Why do people accept a demon sitting on Solomon's throne? Ladies, have you watched any of the X-Men movies?
Oh,
Okay,
he's
work
like
with me here.
impersonating sort of thing.
Oh, what?
He made himself look like Shlomo.
The Gemara says the king of the demons is a shapeshifter. He's Mystique. So he basically he made himself look like Shlomo exactly, so they can't tell that it's him. The advisors, they just think Shlomo's behaving weird, but they literally have no idea that it's not Shlomo, because it looks like Shlomo and his voice, everything. And then the Gemara ends with what? That they're noticing that Shlomo starts behaving very, very strangely. So, but I mean, it looks like him, it sounds like him. They have no reason to suspect anything. So what is the dead giveaway? Like, what is the first clue that they have that something's wrong? And again, this is after years that the palace is just run amok and chaotic, right?
His leg.
Yeah.
So Shlomo comes back. Shlomo makes it back however many years later, and he's like, I'm Shlomo. And they're like, no, the real Shlomo's sitting on the throne. You're like some hobo who needs a shower, and like, you don't even look like him. Like, you look like a homeless guy. Like, what the hell? You're not Shlomo. He's like, no, I'm really Shlomo. I promise, that guy's an imposter. It's not an imposter. What do you mean? And like, literally, the trippiest Hollywood movie scenes are based on this, where you have a guy claiming to be the real guy and the shapeshifter sitting there smiling inwardly saying, haha, I've everybody fooled. And so Shlomo has to prove that he's the real Shlomo, even though he looks like the homeless guy. So then he says to them exactly what Sarah said. Okay, has Shlomo ever taken off his socks in the past, let's say 20 years? In the past 20 years, have you ever seen him take off his socks? And the advisors say, no, he doesn't. He always keeps his feet covered. Why? What does Shlomo say about that?
Is it that he wanted to be able to pray to Hashem at any moment, so he had to have his feet covered?
Oh my goodness, why would the king of the demons pray to Hashem? He doesn't care.
Oh, I thought you meant actual Shlomo.
No. The real Shlomo says to the advisors, I can prove to you that I am the real Shlomo. You know how? Look at my feet. You see, I don't have a problem being barefoot. But the imposter, he never uncovers his feet. Why? Why does the imposter never uncover his feet? You guys should know this.
Is that where a Christian came from? Like the whole idea of like the goat's feet and whatnot?
Ladies, oh my goodness. This is a superstition that's
I'm just so
well
curious.
known. I'm really surprised. Did you guys never hear the idea that demons, their feet look like chicken legs? Like chicken feet? Yeah, right. I figured, Stephanie, I thought you for sure you were going to know this, right? Their feet, what they look like is chicken feet. So like they say that if you wake up in the morning and you see like chicken footprints in the sand, like if you put sand near your bed, it means the demon was near your bed. I don't know, whatever. I'm not even going there. So basically, the king of the demons has chicken legs, right? With the like claws that are like, right, like this. So he says that's why to cover up that he's an imposter, he always wears socks. So he says, if you can pull off his socks, you'll see that he's a demon. And just look at me, I'm the real Shlomo. And that's how the story ends happily ever after. You know, there's a very creepy thing where they're like, oh yeah, lately Shlomo's really been into incest and it's weird. Like he's been calling for his mom that way. And like, we don't understand what's happening with Shlomo. He like likes to be with his wives when they're Nida and all kinds of sketchy things. And yeah, he never takes his socks off. And so basically, they pull the socks off, they discover the chicken feet, then Shlomo manages to get the ring back. We don't know how, but he gets the ring back, slips it on his finger, he now has the power, and he banishes the king of the demons, and then it's not such a happily ever after because there's a machlokus whether he goes back to being the glorious King Shlomo, he rises back to his glory, or he never makes it back to his glory. But either way, Shlomo ends his career somewhat not gloriously, not just because of the pshat that we learned last week, but because the drush gives us this whole element of after that whole fiasco with the king of the demons impersonating him for however many years, Shlomo was basically traumatized for the rest of his life by that whole thing, and he was scarred by it. So that's how our Gemara ends. Okay. Why does time go so fast? I hate time. I hate time. I hate time. We have 10 minutes left and I just want to cry. I just want to cry. We didn't even start the Maharal, and it's not because I wasn't timing us properly, or maybe it was. I don't know. But it's okay. Let's do this. So basically, the Maharal, I have to go to Tanya class. Wait, what? And right now?
Yeah, because he doesn't record it. So
Oh,
I'll watch
what am I gonna do? Oh no! Oh no! Okay.
Too much Torah.
Okay. Help! What the heck do I do? Oi. This was crucial. I needed to know whether you guys understood the story correctly,
next
because
week.
translation. Wait, sorry, I can't hear you. Because the translations can be misleading. Sarah, what?
We can continue next week, or we can try another night this week, like a continuation or something.
People
I'm
open
cool
to
with
that? So please email me if you're open to it, because first of all, a lot of people couldn't do tonight. They emailed me, so I think a lot of people would actually be thrilled if they could be part of it. So you know what? Let's sneak in another session this week. Oh my God, you guys are gonna get sick of me. Jeez,
Okay.
It's Tuesday, another night, and then Sunday.
Never.
Okay, Kitzer, I'm gonna hit stop now, and I'm gonna post another poll on Facebook, and I'm sure my friend Beth from Chicago and also Paul Ratzenberg, they were chalishing to be part of this, and they couldn't. Beth got stuck at the DMV, so anyway, all right. So I'm sure they'll be happy to join. So, okay, I'm going to make them watch this because I'm not going to go through this whole thing. This was definitely worthy because I saw what you didn't have, because it's crucial arteries in the story that I'm glad now we're all on the same page. And now we can start analyzing. I'm going to leave this board on, and because this is where we're going to go into metaphor tenor, the explanation of all the major imagery. These are the corner pieces and the edge pieces in this Gemara. Okay? So I took a picture of this, so I'm going to post it on Facebook so you guys can print it if you want, and you can actually fill it in whenever we do our next session. Deal? Okay, so I will see you later this week.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good.